We're talking college basketball, and that's because it's March
Oh my
2025 on
March
Proline
Madness.
TV.
March Madness. Oh my goodness.
That's exactly what it is. We're mad for March college basketball. The conference tournaments have already begun 24 hours ago. So we are going to take a look, just going to breeze through all 11 conference tournaments that are going to be they're going to get underway between tonight and then Friday. Don't forget, we're going to be back on air on Friday night. And when we come back on air on Friday night, we're going to have even more conference tournaments to talk about. That'll take place between Saturday and then the next time we'll be on the air early next week. So a lot of college basketball. We're going to make sure that we have input on every single conference tournament, no matter how small the input is, just so we can get everybody ready for March Madness. So, Jim, let's go ahead. And before we get into the conference tournaments, there's some action tonight in college basketball. And there are a couple of SEC games of note. That Texas team, as we've talked about the last few times, they are just not playing good ball at the worst time of the year. I think Rodney Terry's going to be gone. I can't see this team making the tournament. They are in the SEC. That's an advantage, but they're 13th now in the SEC, and they're at 9th. Mississippi State tomorrow night. Of course, these are games for Tuesday night. And Mississippi State's a 6.5-point home favorite. Texas has lost 3 straight. They have dropped 7 straight covers, including a 16-point loss at Georgia as a 5-point favorite on Saturday in a key game with 2 bubble teams. And I don't know, that to me, that says everything.
I would say that Mississippi State would be a team to look at.
That's an understatement. It is a big number, though. See, here's the thing that shied me away from taking this game. As I just said, Texas was a 5-point favorite on Saturday. Now they're a 6.5-point dog, and it's not like Mississippi State is Auburn. They're definitely better than Georgia and Texas, and they're at home. But let's keep in mind, Texas, remember Oklahoma the other day, they were on with that last week. They were on that awful losing streak, but they were able to figure it out. Texas knows these games are important. They have to just get the losing behind them. And then because if Texas gets a win tomorrow night, they're right back in good shape. I don't like them, but I am a little bit concerned with the 6.5.
Well, I haven't really taken a very good look at this game yet, but I will right now if I can find it real quick. Let me see.
Well, again, you have a situation here where Mississippi State has won 3 out of their last 5 straight up and against the spread. Keep an eye on Texas's guard, Tremont Mack. He's banged up, may not play. He averages about 9 points per game. So definitely a player to keep an eye on. Also,
it's the only side you could play in the game, obviously. The team, you could look at this and say, well, Mississippi State or Texas is just pointing to the tournament, or, they're not caring about this and they're just biding their time. And that's possible. But it's hard to turn it on and off just like that. So there's 16-13 on the year. The last couple of games, they're based on an 84 rating down to a 71 in their last 4 games.
Yeah.
And if you look at, it's atrocious.
I mean, it's hard to I don't, like you said, if you're going to play the game, you got to take Mississippi State. You can't, I don't know how you would take Texas.
Well, the other thing, the negative is Mississippi State is not, like you said, they're not Auburn, but they have not had a good record in conference at home. I mean, they win their first game and cover. These are conference games, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight losses in conference against the spread, and then they win the last two. One over A&M that when they won by 16, and one over Louisiana State, which is not a very good team, by 12. But I mean, they're not a great shakes either. But
no, but they are a tournament team. They have the edge over Texas now by 3 full games in the standings. And as you can see, the SEC standings here, you got 10 definites. You got Mississippi State, Vandy, and Kentucky, 8, 9, 10. The question is going to come between Georgia, Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. Those 4 teams, they only got about another game or 2 left. So, and then the tournament. So that's going to be huge.
Mississippi State at home against the spread this year is 6-11.
That's not too good.
No, it's not, and
that's why I'm not taking the game. Yeah.
Auburn,
we got to go. We got a lot of things to cover.
Like when I make these quarter bets, half bets, full bets. This would be like a quarter bet, on Mississippi State. Just
okay,
because some investments you make a 10% return on investment. Some investments you might make a 5% return on investment.
Yep.
And others you might make a 30% return on investment. Well, there's still profits, but they're not as big. And
you got
to measure it out.
It's like we say with hot teams, you stay on hot teams and sometimes you stay on cold teams. And Texas is one cold team right now. So it makes a lot of sense to keep riding against them the way they're playing. Meanwhile, Auburn and Texas A&M are playing a big one tomorrow night, or at least it would appear to have been a big game about a week ago. But Texas A&M has now dropped 4 straight games, 3 of them by 8 or more, 2 of them by more than 15 points, including the game at Florida on Saturday. Auburn, meanwhile, has won 6 straight, including each of them by 7 or more. And they're a 5.5-point favorite here. And I am going to lay 5.5 with Auburn. I have a hard time believing Texas A&M in their worst stretch of the year is going to be able to cover a decently small number against the best team in college basketball.
As long as Auburn comes to play, it's a 20-point game.
Yep.
That's the question. The question is, at this time of year, when you're transitioning from regular season into tournament play, you have to deal with the mindset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I said mind, but it's mindset. Where are they focused? Are they there? Are they focused on winning?
And the thing is, I think Auburn, we know, you've got number 1 seeds that are out there. They don't want to be losing 2 out of their last 3, ruin their entire season seeding wise. So I can look at this and look, we just saw them the other night in the game that they played. They're still playing top basketball. So, all right. So that is one that I am going to take. Meanwhile, also around college basketball tomorrow night, a big game between Indiana and Oregon in the Big Ten, because Oregon is now a tournament team. They had a good start to the season, and they've got rid of that losing skid they were on not too long ago. Now they're on a winning run. They've won 5 straight, 3-1-1 ATS in the last 5. They're a 6.5-point home favorite against Indiana. They had that big road win at Wisconsin during this stretch. Indiana, though, looked dead about a week ago, but now they've won 3 straight, including a 15-point win against Purdue. So Indiana is trying to hang in there, and it looks like they're a tournament team because they've got 18 wins. They're a 500 Big Ten team, and I think that's the marker right now. We said 10 is the marker in the SEC. I believe 9 might be the marker here. I know it's 8 with Oregon, but I do think Indiana, especially if they can get a big win at Oregon tomorrow night, will definitely be in. But I just can't go against Oregon at this point in time because they're playing some really good basketball.
Well, they beat Northwestern and to start this streak, and Rutgers, which are not, all that shaky. But they went on the road. They win at Iowa. Anytime you win on the road, that's impressive. And then they won at Wisconsin, which is very impressive because that's a really good team. And then they come home and they beat USC. But the impressive game, that Wisconsin win was very impressive. and their number on that game was really high. Indiana, I mean, they got the coaching issues there, and they are playing better for sure. The problem I have is this is just like Mississippi State. You look at their home record against the spread, 5-10. Whew, that's rough.
Yeah, I really want to take Indiana because again, Oregon is a tournament team, but Indiana is strictly on the bubble, and they've got a 3-game winning streak, and they have to win this game.
What'd you say the spread was?
It's a 6.5. So it's just that I hate going against Oregon at this point in time because they're playing so well.
The other issue that we're dealing with, and I'll bring this up again because I've mentioned it in some podcasts or shows that I've done. Indiana is a team that's never played on this court. Ever.
No, they never played Oregon, period.
They probably have never been to Oregon before.
No.
Okay. So now you got these new travel arrangements these teams are making, West Coast, East Coast, back and forth stuff, and they got to travel. And Indiana, I mean, we're looking at bad weather around the country at times. And by the way, you're down in North Carolina, right?
Yep.
Are you being hit or affected by these fires that I'm seeing?
No, that's on the East Coast.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, not that it's good. It's good that you're not in it. That's what I meant.
Yeah, we had a hurricane. We don't need any fires too.
You don't need any of that too.
No.
So, okay. But it's marginal. But they're both on the upswing right now. So I would have to take. I would probably have to look at the dog here, just because they're both got something to play for. And
yeah, I think if there is a play, it's Indiana. That's
that's what I said. I'd take the dog. Just, I mean, if I can get 6.5, I'd take the dog.
And then you have another Big Ten matchup is Nebraska and Ohio State. And also, as you can see, these two teams are right behind Indiana. So the loser is big trouble. The winner can still hang around. But Nebraska's lost 3 straight games. Bad time to lose 3 straight, including the Minnesota at home. I mean, they're in trouble. They have beaten Ohio State 4 out of 5, including an 8-point win on February 9th as a 2-point favorite at home. Ohio State's 1-3 in their last 4. So I honestly don't think either of these teams deserve to be in the tournament. Ohio State's a 5.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, that's about where I made it. That's about the number that I have. I don't see an edge here. No edge.
There was another SEC game. I guess I just lost sight of it because it's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I have no idea why they have an SEC game at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. But Arkansas is at Vanderbilt tomorrow.
10 o'clock tomorrow night on the East Coast?
Yes. So I have no idea. Vandy is a 6.5-point favorite against Arkansas. Keeping in mind, Vandy is in 9th place. And really they're in 10th because of the tiebreakers, or at least, they're in 10th. I believe they're in 10th. Or no, they're in 9th. Wait a second. I'm looking at the overall. Yeah, the conference standings, they are, I think they're in 10th. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The fact is, Arkansas is just a couple of games behind them. So these two teams are really not that far away from each other. But Vandy is on a hell of a run. They've won 3 straight against 3 tournament teams. They had a miraculous win against Missouri on Saturday. That game went to overtime. They're a tournament team. But Arkansas had a dud after they were really playing great, and even they were losing competitively, and they had the big win. They turned it around and got demolished by South Carolina by 19 on Saturday.
They've lost their last 3 road games. And they did cover up against Auburn, and they did push against A&M, who was not playing well. And then they got demolished. South Carolina. I don't know. South Carolina was a interesting thing about that game, Greg, is that was Saturday. And there was a lot of money that came in on South Carolina in that game, and I couldn't quite
I know.
figure out why. But then
They
they
were
went
the
out there
favorite.
by a lot.
Well, no, they were a 2-point favorite.
But the way the line moved was
Yeah, it
the
didn't.
money,
I mean,
the
look at them.
money.
They're in 16th place.
The money just flowed in on South Carolina in that game.
They knew
It was
something.
yeah, they did, and they were right. I
Yeah,
don't know what it
they
was.
must have figured out that they knew that for some reason Arkansas was going to lay an egg, and they had some information because South Carolina had only one conference win going into that game.
Well, they had beat Missouri and Texas back to back. No, excuse me, that was Arkansas. Excuse me. Yeah, they had beaten Mississippi at home.
Yeah, they had no right. I mean, it's not to win; it's to win by 19.
I'm looking at the right
Arkansas
game.
was never in the game. Never.
No, that was a 20-point loss, basically.
I mean, they were down 20 like in the first 5 minutes. It was awful. And so now they have to rebound and get it out of their minds because they still have a shot, a realistic chance to get to the tournament. See, I've been on Vandy, as you know, the last few times, and they've come through for me. But now they're a 6.5-point favorite. And this is a little different than them being dogs against tourney teams. Now they're laying numbers against a team that is desperate for a win. And I don't usually do this, but I'm going to go on the opposite side of a team that's made me money the last couple of games. And I'm going to take Arkansas on the 7.
I can't believe it's 7. There's got to be. We got to check out injuries on that game. That number.
I have. I didn't see any.
That number is very high. That doesn't make sense.
Well, anyway, so
did somebody miss that last game?
No. Nope. No injuries. So taking a look at the other game that is really interesting, especially because they're two good teams and because the line is really surprising, and that is Iowa State at home against BYU. Yeah. 4th place Iowa State against 5th place BYU. And by the way, they both have the same identical conference records. BYU has won 6 straight games straight up and against the spread. They are playing their best basketball of the year. And they're getting 9.5 at Iowa State, who's coming off a big win against Arizona on Saturday. They've won 5 out of 7, covering 4 out of 7.
9.5.
9.5.
Go down.
So that is a major line. That is like, wow, where'd that come from?
These numbers are outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously begging us to take BYU, which I'm going to do. I'm sorry, I'm just going to do it. And if something happens and I mean, look, this is 24 hours before the game, so it's not like it was with the South Carolina game where money came in late. They knew something. This is the line. This is what they start with.
That it absolutely makes no sense.
Yeah. So I'm taking BYU.
I've done this for 6 decades, and I'm telling you, the transition from regular season into postseason it's all about mindset. If someone understands the mindset of these teams, they have an advantage over those of us who don't know that.
Yeah, but BYU has won 6 straight games playing awesome. They're playing. They just won a home game against West Virginia as a double-digit favorite. If there was any game for them to take lightly, to forget about, we're in it, that would have been it. And they just blew out West Virginia.
Well, okay, so what's the motivation for either of these teams to win this
None.
game?
0.
That's why.
No, I mean, but
that's the problem. There's the you just.
Yeah, but we know this.
Well,
it's equal on both sides.
Is this senior night for Iowa State?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they're going to get 9.5 for senior night.
The game doesn't figure anywhere near that.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
No, it
It
doesn't.
probably will be. I mean, there's only a game or two left, so
Maybe you could make it 4.
yeah, it's
You
the
know,
last home game.
that would be stretching it. But
Yeah, because they were a 5 or 6 against Arizona. And by the way, BYU had just beaten Arizona in Arizona. And now the line's 9.
no,
Anyway, okay. So just rounding out the picks. So once again, I'm going to take Auburn minus the 5, BYU plus 10, and Arkansas plus 7. Do you have any games, Jim, among the games we just talked about? I also have, what do I have? I have an additional pick here too. But again, Texas, Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi State, do you want to take that game officially or no?
no.
Okay.
I mean,
You taking Auburn?
No, I don't have any plays there. Quite honestly,
You don't have any plays tonight?
I was focused mostly on. Well, tonight I have Wichita. I played Austin Peay the first half plus 6.5.
No, not tonight. Tonight's already. It's
I
over. Tomorrow night.
Well, I didn't focus on tomorrow night's game. I was focused on the tournaments.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to get into. So I've got Auburn, BYU, Arkansas, and I'm also going to go with Rutgers getting 11 from Purdue. Rutgers was on a 2-game win streak. They lost in the buzzer beater against Michigan on their home court at Michigan, where they would have won 3 straight. You know, they're trying to save their season, get good, vibes going into the conference tournament. Now that buzzer beater could be the death nail, and they'll have to just regroup for the tournament. But I'm just gonna, gamble on the fact that that's not going to happen. That they're going to just keep going, and it's a lot of points to give. It's 11 points, 10.5. So I'm taking Rutgers in the 11, and I'm also going with Auburn, BYU, and Arkansas. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the 11 conference tournaments that will be taking place starting tonight on Monday and running through the start on Friday. So we're going to start with the Tuesday tournaments, Horizon, the Patriot, and the Sun Belt. So let's
in the Horizon. I'm gonna start this off here. We know who the favorites are in these things, but what I'm looking for is value, and I'm looking for offensive and defensive efficiency that of a team that could maybe have something going for it at a price. So I'm looking at, and I'd like to know your opinion. Purdue Fort Wayne, it's plus 650 to win this tournament. I think
the
that's
Horizon. Let's see, where are we? Conference tourney.
Oh, by the way, one of my long shots to win the is playing tomorrow night. Virginia Commonwealth of Duquesne. Virginia Commonwealth is playing out of their mind. Be careful.
That's got to be a big spread, right?
Well, yeah, they're favored on the road. I don't know what the spread is. I know what I made it, but I haven't looked at the numbers yet. But that would be a team that. And then there was very impressive second half yesterday by Memphis over UAB.
Well, you're all over the place. What are you talking about now?
Tomorrow, I am all over the place.
You are. We're on the horizon right now.
All over the place guy here.
Yeah, apparently. What were you impressed by?
Well, the second half Memphis athleticism just showed up yesterday against UAB. I mean, they destroyed UAB in the second half.
Yeah, Memphis had some big wins early this season. They were playing in some of those tournaments, and they really surprised a lot of people.
24-5. I mean, they aren't bad. I mean, it's
it's just that a lot of people have kind of been there, done that with Penny Hardaway and the Tigers. They're just like they're just all right. Just wait till the tournament, because they always they don't do anything.
But why are they playing Texas San Antonio to end the season? This meaningless.
That's a conference team. What are they in right now? What's their stupid conference that they're in? I mean, they change so often. Where are they right now, Memphis?
American Atlantic.
The American Atlantic. Okay. So, yeah, Texas San Antonio, they're in there. So Memphis beat UConn earlier this year in one of those tournaments. And, but yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those situations where he's got a lot of new players, like a lot of teams, and maybe this is the good mix. I mean, I think there's a shot, but yeah, and I think at this point, like I said, everybody with Penny Hardaway and the Tigers, it's just like, yeah, well, let's see come tournament time. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be because of that. Maybe we'll get a good number on them on some of those early games in the NCAA tournament. Maybe we'll be able to take advantage of it. All right, so let's talk about the Horizon. And you're going to go with the team that you want to zero in on here. You said that you're going to a nice little.
I'm looking for prices in these tournaments because some of these tournaments are so closely matched with teams that could, they all played each other, familiar with each other, familiar with the coaches, with the players. Fort Wayne, it's plus 650. Just seems like a little bit of value to me.
Yeah,
I'm looking for value.
Well, right now, Robert Morris is the team to beat as far as the odds. And as you can see there, they're the regular season champ. They were actually predicted to not even be in the first half of this conference when the season began. So I remember they used to be in, I forget what conference they used to be in. So they graduated to this conference. And they got some, some pretty decent players. They got this JUCO kid that they brought in who led the nation as a top JUCO player, as a shot blocker. Matter of fact, he's broken already the single game shot blocking record for Robert Morris twice with 7 and 8 blocks. They've won 13 out of 14, including 7 straight. And that's why there are going to be some chalk here, of course, for some picks. And I am going to agree with you. I'm going to go with some other sleepers too. But I think Robert Morris will win this conference. But my sleeper pick here is going to be Oakland. So I'm going to go with Greg Knapp and Oakland at 14-1. How many times has that guy surprised everybody with his coaching ability? They've won 4 out of 7 with 3 overtime wins to end the season. So they are battle tested.
He is a great coach. He is definitely a great coach.
Keep in mind that even though they lost to Robert Morris twice, both losses were by 2 and 8 points. Their top 4 players are seniors. And I think if you're looking for a sleeper, I'm going to go with Oakland, and you're going to go with Fort Wayne there at 6-1. All right, let's now move to the Patriot. And the Patriot looks like Bucknell is the team to beat here.
Definitely the team to beat, but I'm going with Colgate.
All right, let's see here. Where's the freaking Patriot? Sunbelt. There it is.
Now, you got to remember, when I'm taking these dogs, I have hedging possibilities down the road. If I can
talk about that. What are you saying?
Well, if I get a 650 dog coming into the later rounds, I can now hedge by going on the other side and win either way or both.
Like in the championship game.
Yes.
As long as you're getting, as long as it's, and who knows? The other thing too is, let's say you've got Fort Wayne, and they're in the championship game with Robert Morris. Correct. And Robert Morris is a 4-point favorite or something. Let's just say
that'll be a big night, a pretty good favorite.
So now the money line may not be too good there, but another way that you could hedge your bet there is that you go live betting and just hope that maybe the game starts off and Fort Wayne gets off to a really good start and the line gets to almost even, and then boom, you just jump on the even and then hedge your bet there.
When you have a dog like this and if you get that far, you have a lot of options. Yes.
Yep. All right. So here in the Patriot, Bucknell again is the team to beat there, but you also have, like you said, Colgate. Now Colgate, they're like the main squeeze in the Patriot the last several years.
The main squeeze?
Yeah, they're what it's at. They have, if you look at it, they've got 6 straight Patriot regular season titles with 5 NCAA tournament appearances. So a lot of people expected the same thing out of him this year, but it really didn't work out for him. Matter of fact, they're 4-7 in their last 11. But I hear you, because when you have a championship dominating program that all of a sudden is now the third choice for the first time probably in 6-7 years, watch out. I see where you're coming from.
Yep.
My long shot's going to be Boston, BU. They're 16-1.
That's a good price.
Yeah, they're 4-5. They got a deep bench. All 5 of their starters returned from last year. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and ride BYU as a long shot. That's not my, of course, top pick, but I'm going Bucknell, just like I'm going Robert Morris. A little chalk there, but for sleeper picks, I'll go Oakland at 14-1 and BU at 16-1. All right, now let's go to the Sun Belt, and that's up here. And once again, I'm going. Matter of fact, I don't have any other team here. I just believe. I really believe strongly in Arkansas State in the Sun Belt, and at 2-1, that's going to be my only play. What about you?
What happened to James Madison?
What happened to them?
They're pretty awesome.
Well, they weren't as good as last year. Of course, they lost their coach, but yeah, they're one of the top 3 teams this year.
I got a long shot in here at Marshall.
Okay,
with a little bit of I got a little bit of
22-1.
I got. Pardon me.
They're 22-1.
Yes,
I like it.
And I got a little bit of Madison, but I can understand the favorite being Arkansas State. I understand that, but Madison is pretty equal with them. But at sleeper, if they can get to the later round, Marshall could be very dangerous.
Okay. Yeah, Arkansas State. Take a look at them. By the way, Arkansas State beat your Memphis.
Arkansas State and James Madison are kind of one and the same. I see them mirroring each other quite a bit.
Yeah, Arkansas State beat your Memphis team earlier this year, which is a really big win for a Sun Belt team. And they only lost by 9 at Alabama. So James Madison, they've won 10 out of 12. And look, I mean, the new coach is doing a good job. So is it a surprise, though, that they won 32 games last year? As we know, they were a big story last year in the tournament. And I'm not sure if you're aware of, but do you know where that coach went?
No, I don't.
Vanderbilt.
And he's doing okay.
He's doing okay. That's a nice story. That's what you like to see, right?
The game the other day was big for both of us. We both had Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And
they looked ugly early.
It did.
But Missouri, they caught them.
Yeah, they got that 3-pointer at the end to send it to OT. All right, so James Madison, that's your top pick at just about 4-1.
Well, that would be the favorite, but I'm looking at Marshall as somebody who got some money on sprinkle.
So your top pick is James Madison, and your sleeper pick, long shot, is Marshall.
22-1. Yeah, that's a good number.
Okay. I'm not going to have a long shot in this one. All right, now let's go to Wednesday. And
Big
Wednesday, we're going to start with the Big South, as you said. So let me scroll on down to the Big South, wherever that is. There it is. Oh, and you've got major, heavy favorite, High Point. And I am not going to disagree there.
You got to give them all the credit in the world. But I have a Winthrop sitting there that I think could be a little bit of a dark horse.
I know we can't bet. You wouldn't bet a team at minus 250, would you?
No, I'm not putting my money on no.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No, I'm just saying, would you ever do that?
Well, maybe with a more of a quality club, but not
okay.
This, no.
Yeah,
it would be difficult to do it with a lower quality club like this. I mean, if Auburn was 250 I might do it with them. against a certain team.
Yeah, not this SEC,
Not
but
every-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
High Points won 11 straight. Last year, they were the top team. And matter of fact, this coach, watch out, he's going to get a big job here next year because Alan Huss, his first year last year, they won the regular season title. And this year, they're even better than last year. So, again, as you can see, minus 250 there. They had 4 returning starters from that team last year. The only thing that you got to keep an eye on is they have 3 big scorers. One of their top scorers, Demarion Williams, did not play his final 3 games of the season. And they're High Points, so I have no idea. I looked, but I could not find any information. So check that out if you want to look at High Point.
That's in your town, isn't it? In your area?
I don't know if it's that close to here. I don't know.
Well, I think you're in North Carolina or somewhere in North Carolina.
No, I am in North Carolina, but it's pretty big. It's a big state.
No, but I mean, that's where High Point is, I believe.
Yeah, but like I said, they could be 3 hours from us, so I don't know where they are.
Okay.
Asheville, actually, obviously, is by me, and that's the team that I would put like as a long shot. You've got Winthrop, right?
I do.
Yeah, they're both 9-1. And Winthrop, they returned 4 starters, all in double figures. They've won 8 out of their last 9, including a win against UNC Asheville in the last game of the regular season. Asheville, the reason I'm going to go with Asheville is they are the number 2 seed, so that helps. They don't have to worry about High Point. I'm sure they'll probably, I don't know if Winthrop is the 3 seed, but UNC Asheville wouldn't have to worry about High Point to the championship game. And UNC Asheville beat High Point and lost to High Point in overtime in the second matchup. So UNC Asheville, even though they've lost 3 out of 4 to end the season, they seem to match up well with High Point. I think at 9-1, and if they can get to the championship game, I don't think that's a bad idea to take Asheville. But you're going to go with Winthrop, so we got equal 9-1 sleepers. But yeah, High Point is going to be awfully tough to beat. Okay, Northeast. Let's go to the Northeast. Let me find the Northeast.
There's only one team in there. It's Central Connecticut. Minus 270, which I can't play.
Yeah, Central. Well, I mean, yeah, they've won 12 straight. And they're obviously a very good team. They were a first-place team last year. So they're continuing to play well. But they're going to LIU, the second choice, the obvious second choice, as you can see, they're almost at 4-1. They split with Central Connecticut State during the season. They've won 6 straight games, and they do have a 17-point scorer. So they've got a lethal guy up top. So they're not the worst idea in the world, considering the big disparity there of minus 250 to almost 4-1, considering these two teams split during the season. LIU won 7 games last year. So obviously the big jump to year number 2. And there you go. All right. Ohio Valley.
What about Coastal American? Coastal.
The what?
The CAA.
That's Friday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we're still on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I have it listed as Wednesday, but I took in that
OBC.
I'll just jump in there. I got Towson in that.
No, we're going to do that in a few minutes.
Okay.
So Ohio, and I have Towson too. Ohio Valley. So the Ohio Valley, yeah, there's only one team that's sticking out for me here, and that's Southeast Missouri State. Southeast Missouri State. Let's see. SIU is the second choice, and Southeast Missouri State beat them twice. Let's see. They were on a 10-game win streak. They had it snapped in the regular season finale. But anyway, Southeast Missouri State. Look at, there's only 8 teams in this conference. Everybody's bolted from the OVC. This used to be a halfway decent conference just a couple of years. Was this the conference that you said Belmont?
I'm sorry, I got a phone call. What'd you say?
Was this the conference that used to have Belmont? The Ohio Valley.
Can you hold? Okay, I got it. I got rid of that call. You keep asking, and the phone keeps ringing. Yes,
Was the OVC the conference that used to have Belmont?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Matt-
didn't they have Murray State too?
They got devastated when they both left. Murray and Belmont left.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Southeast Missouri is the better team. Tennessee State's my upset pick here.
Oh, you've got an upset pick at 4.
Yeah.
Well, a mini upset, but an upset nonetheless at 4-1. Okay, that's your upset, Tennessee State. All right, now let's go to the Summit, the last one on Wednesday. And as far as the Summit, it looks like this is a 4-team battle. Let me get to the Summit.
It really is.
That was all that noise. It's your cell phone.
Oh,
Okay.
Everything's ringing all at once.
So there's a 4-team race. You got St. Thomas, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and Omaha.
And you put a blanket over these guys.
I'm going to go with South Dakota State.
You got to remember, this is one of those situations. If St. Thomas wins, they cannot go because they're one of those transition teams that they can't go to the tournament because they're transitioned into this conference. So it would go to the team they play.
Runner up. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with South Dakota State. I mean, this is like a program that, they're always at the top. I mean, their coach has been phenomenal. They've got another really good player. They always have these really good players, and they got this good with Oscar Clough. He's a 6'11", 250 center who's averaging 17, 12, and 3. And they only lost to Boise State by 1 point.
Wow.
So I think they've got maybe one of the top players in the league. They've got one of the best coaches in the league. And I'm going to go ahead and take South Dakota State here.
That's one of the 4 big guys in this. This is a 4-team league, really.
Yeah, no sleeper. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Missouri Valley. Now we get to some serious ones. We start to get to some really good conferences now. The Missouri Valley, speaking of a 4-team race, you have Drake, Bradley, Northern Iowa, and Belmont. I know Belmont's getting 12-1. It's not a bad number. But look, Drake's in. They don't have to win this. And so they're in. They've had a great year. They beat Kansas State. They had another win too. I forget who they also beat. They had 2 really good wins. So and they've just been incredible. They beat Vandy. So they're in. That's why, because they're in, I think Bradley is a good bet here to win the conference. It's actually going to be my conference pick.
Bradley's a hell of a team. They've had a hell of a year. I mean, Northern Iowa is a good team, and they got those 3 top teams there. Drake, Bradley, Northern Iowa, kind of one of those blankets you could throw over them. I didn't really work this game because I didn't know we were going into this conference, but I know these teams pretty well from the whole year. But those guys are pretty rough. Yep.
They've got Bradley is actually one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. They split with Drake. Bradley beat San Francisco in non-conference. They've won 6 out of 7, and their top 4 players are seniors. So
San Francisco let us down the other night. They didn't.
Oh, that was which you can see with San Francisco Gonzaga, San Francisco St. Mary's. The Gonzaga deal, the problem with San Francisco, the reason why I guess they were able to compete and beat St. Mary's is that San Francisco's defense sucks. So they can get by with St. Mary's because St. Mary's doesn't have explosive offense. Gonzaga's got an explosive offense.
Gonzaga's, we're going off the rails here with this, but Gonzaga's very dangerous.
Oh, they are.
They win by a lot and lose by a little.
They could be a nice sleeper team in the tournament if you can get sleeper points. That's the problem. I don't know if we're going to get it or not, but we're going to get to them in a second. So what do you think? You think Bradley's the play here then? I do.
Like I said, I didn't really work this, but because 340 isn't much of a number, but it probably is, but you could get an upset with which Northern Iowa can play. They're not dog meat. they're a pretty good team.
Yeah, Northern Iowa, 0-2 against Drake, but they split Bradley. Matter of fact, they lost their 2 out of the last 3, but the 2 losses were to Drake and Bradley. They actually went to overtime against Drake. And, Northern Iowa has one of the best coaches in the conference, that guy, Ben Jacobson. It's been there forever. So, yeah, I agree. I think those top 3. I did mention Belmont because Belmont, again, as we said, and Murray State, we just talked about them going as the top teams in the OVC. They graduated up to the Missouri Valley. Murray State's having a really bad year, disappointing year. But Belmont, they've got a very good top 4. So they got guys that could score. But yeah, they just they haven't had a great year overall. I think they lost to Drake. They got swept by Northern Iowa. So anything's possible. It's not the worst idea, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be the Bradley or Northern Iowa that's going to get that second bid. But I'll take Bradley. Okay, now we'll go to the WCC. And what a surprise that even though St. Mary's is beating Gonzaga twice, Gonzaga is the favorite by a little bit to win the WCC tournament. No respect for St. Mary's.
Well, Gonzaga's a mean little machine, man, when they get going. And now they got double revenge on the same year. So,
but yeah, I hear you with that. That's why you would think it's good. I mean, you can't beat Gonzaga 3 times. That's stretching it.
Well, you don't have to beat them 3 times. You just have to beat them once. The other 2 are gone.
The surprise, I'm going to actually throw in a surprise team, and that's going to be Santa Clara.
Well, I was going to just say that Santa Clara is a pretty good team, and but when you look at the overall body of work, Gonzaga and St. Mary's, it's all those 2 teams. It's always this way.
I mean, the good thing is you got Santa Clara has beaten. Look, I know TCU is not one of the better Big 12 teams, but it is a Big 12 team. They also beat St. Louis, not a bad team, out of the A10, I think the A10, is that what they're in? And then you have the fact that they beat Gonzaga. They split with Gonzaga this year. Santa Clara did. I looked at their schedule. They don't have any terrible losses. They have losses to teams like, I don't know, Washington State, but they're not terrible teams. They didn't lose to no 258 team in the country. They've won 6 out of 8. They go 8 deep scoring, and they got 5 double-figure scorers. But the thing that really is why I think that they're worth it. Let's keep in mind now they have had at least 20 wins in 5 of the last 6 seasons, and most of that is.
Is this really a 3-team bid league? I don't
know.
See all 3 of these guys.
Santa Clara's got to win the tournament.
Yeah.
So
that's still,
I mean, they have to figure out a way somehow where they can avoid having to beat them both. If somehow they can avoid doing that, then they got a shot. Because they have to just beat one of those teams on one night. But to ask them to beat both of them at consecutive nights.
You leave Gonzaga or St. Mary's out?
No, Gonzaga and St. Mary's are both in. They're both in the tournament.
So that would make them a 3-team league.
If Santa Clara wins the tournament, yes. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, the whole reason why I'm going to jump on Santa Clara is not just what we said, but they have a good coach. Herb Sednick is their coach.
Yes.
And we know he goes back a long way in the ACC. The guy can coach. And so this is what we've said forever about college basketball come tournament time is the coaching. So, I mean, they're 12-1. I think they're worth it. I think, again, and I might pick, but I think they're a definite good sleeper pick. Okay. And by the way, you also have San Francisco and Oregon State. And so that's what Santa Clara needs. They need San Francisco or Oregon State to pull off one of those upsets so they don't have to do it themselves twice. If one of those teams can give them help, then they'll have a shot maybe.
Well, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go to the Friday games. And now we're going to go with that Towson Colonial because I agree with you on Towson.
Yeah, that and Towson gives you a lot of hedging possibilities. Also, like I said earlier in another game, they give you that you get a pretty damn good price at 450, and there's no real strong team here that you got to really be afraid of. Towson could win this.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Towson, now get this. I understand that they don't have as many wins as Wilmington and College of Charleston. I get that. But they're 16-2 in the conference, 2 games ahead. They're the third choice, and where is it? And they're 15-1 in their last 16.
Whew.
And they're the third choice. So
yeah, I think 450 is a nice take, actually.
Yep. So we're both on Towson.
Yes.
And I don't have any sleeper teams here.
Well, there's no real favorite. I mean,
No.
there really isn't one.
But even though there's not even like I wouldn't go with any of these long shots. I don't like any of them. I'm not into any of these long shot teams. Okay. And then the final one, our final tournament, Southern. And this is where you are very similar to the one we just did. You've got Chattanooga, you got Samford, you got Woodford, you got East Tennessee State. I mean, this is like you got this 6 teams battling it out for the championship.
And boy, I have absolutely no feeling on these teams. It's just not, you don't get many matchups that you bet them in the regular season, and the consistency that you get from each team, offensive and defensively, and their 3-point shooting and all that. You don't see the metrics that you need and want to put your money on. This is not a conference that I've followed very strongly because I don't feel comfortable putting money on them a lot.
Yeah, there's 6 teams that have, as I mentioned, those 6 there that are 500 or better in the conference, but 5 of those have 19 or more wins. So it's going to probably come from 5 of those 6 or 6 there. I think it is those 5. I wouldn't, even Furman has got a shot. So,
well, we're going to get, as we go down the road and they get into the postseason tournaments, we're going to look at a lot at strength of schedule, and these guys are not going to look very well at strength of schedule numbers.
Woodford's the only team that I really I mean this is a conference that doesn't usually do particularly well come tournament time.
No,
they usually get they don't match up defensively. They're always giving up like 90 or whatever in the tournament.
Well, the other thing is with the portal. And if they have any good players, with the portal, and now they're transferring up to the better teams, and they're losing them too. And so even though a team like this could have a great player, not anymore. They're moving.
You know what I like though is that they're I noticed doing the research for these. There's a couple of the teams, and we might have even, I think we even passed a couple that we didn't have time to go over, but I noticed that like one of the coaches is like, it was like a D2. I think it's from the conferences we've talked about, but one of the coaches came in and he's the new head coach here. He's like a D2 legend head coach. He brought like 4 of his top Division II players with him, and they're all like playing great, and they're like first place in one of these conferences. I don't remember which one it is. So when they lose their guys to the big schools, they got to go lower conferences or to Division II to get Division II stars, or to get, ones from like the weaker conferences in Division I.
Right.
Chattanooga's won 11 straight. So that's probably why they're the team to beat with the odds here. I do like Chattanooga. I mean, I'm going to go chalk here, but East Tennessee State's going to be my little sleeper at 6-1. You don't have a play here, do you?
I don't even play in this conference at all. No.
Yeah, here's one of them. Furman, and they're 7-1. They have a guy on their team, Nick Anderson, averages 14 points a game. He's a grad student from Barry University, Division II. And they actually have that guy, and they also have another guy, PJ Smith, who's averaging 17 a game. So even Furman's a dangerous team. This could be any of those 6 can win it, even though I don't like Wofford. I'm surprised Wofford's 5-1. All right, so there you go. That's what we think about those 11 conference tournament games that already have started this evening. We're recording this on Monday night, Eastern time. Now, we're going to talk college basketball on Wednesday with the Playbook podcast. That'll be, of course, with Mark Lawrence and all of our handicappers. So check that out for sure. But then Jim and I are going to return on Friday, and we're going to do it again. We're going to go.
We're going to have some bigger schools coming in the weekend for sure. I mean,
bigger tournaments. So we're going to go over all those other tournaments. Since we'll probably be back on Monday or Tuesday of the next week, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at tournaments that will be beginning during that period. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll also, of course, take a look at some of the big games coming up on Saturday. I have no idea. And who knows, maybe even when we talk on Friday, there might even be a championship game that's this weekend. I haven't looked. But some of these conferences.
We know Sunday's going to be a big day.
Are they already giving out bids on Sunday with conference tournament championships?
We're going to have a lot of finals
on already this week.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean regular season finals or tournament championships?
Tournaments.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. So we'll be talking about that on Friday's broadcast, but don't forget to tune in again on Wednesday. And between the shows, of course, I'm going to be talking golf with Brady Cannon tomorrow. There's the signature golf event, the Arnold Palmer. So that's a big event. All the top players on the PGA Tour this week. So we'll be talking about that. We got NASCAR coming up on Wednesday. We also have horse racing coming up. There were 3, I think, Derby races this past week, something like that. So we have a lot to talk about, to go over some of those Derby contenders. Matter of fact, we're going to have Brady on Wednesday's show. So our golf analyst is going to come on. He's going to be our special guest on the Playbook ATS podcast on Wednesday. So check that out. And then later in the week, Jim and I will talk more college basketball. So Jim, appreciate your time as always.
Well, thank you, Greg. We'll talk to everybody on Wednesday. I'll be there for the first 45 minutes of the show.
So you'll be there, you and Brady. So that's good. You can ask Brady some golf questions.
Okay. How to play would be good. I need some lessons.
That's a good start. All right. Thanks, Jim.
Bye-bye.